ARMY in Chicago were absolutely caught off guard by Jimin and Jungkook's antics during day one of the Chicago concert in the United States. At first, Jimin was simply teasing Jungkook playfully from the stage, but within seconds, the situation turned into a hilarious chase that sent the entire arena into an uproar. Jungkook, who initially appeared to be holding himself back, suddenly chased Jimin beyond the stage area, and what happened next was even more surprising. Jungkook actually managed to catch Jimin using a rope in a cowboy-style move. Their spontaneous reactions immediately had ARMY laughing and wondering, what exactly did Jimin do to make Jungkook finally fight back that intensely? Welcome to Jimin Gallery, the home for Park Jimin fans who want to discover all the latest news, interesting facts, and stories behind the world's spotlight on Jimin. The hilarious BTS moment between Jimin and Jungkook on stage during day one of the concert in Chicago, United States, had just turned the atmosphere into one filled with laughter. During the moment, which happened only a few minutes ago, Jimin could be seen teasing Jungkook several times with his playful antics in front of ARMY. Instead of simply letting the teasing slide, Jungkook gave an unexpected reaction that left fans momentarily stunned before the entire arena erupted in laughter. Jimin seemed to become even more excited after seeing Jungkook's reaction. With a relaxed expression and a mischievous smile, he continued teasing his fellow group members several times from the stage. His antics immediately drew cheers from the audience watching their interaction live. Jimin seemed to deliberately provoke Jungkook into reacting, while Jungkook appeared to be trying his best to remain patient in the face of Jimin's mischievous behavior. However, Jungkook's patience eventually seemed to reach its limit. After becoming the target of Jimin's teasing several times, Jungkook suddenly chased Jimin toward the area outside the stage. The spontaneous incident immediately transformed the concert atmosphere into what looked like an improvised comedy scene. ARMY who witnessed the moment instantly began cheering, while Jimin could be seen trying to get away while laughing. The highlight came when Jungkook managed to catch Jimin using a rope in a move reminiscent of a cowboy. The action was, of course, far from serious, and instead caused the entire stage to erupt in laughter. Jimin, who had previously looked so confident while teasing Jungkook, now had to face the consequences of his own mischievous behavior. Jungkook's reaction even left some ARMY seemingly speechless for a few seconds. Once they realized what had just happened on stage, the audience immediately burst into laughter and cheered even louder. The spontaneous moment became one of the funniest incidents of the concert, as both members appeared completely relaxed and immersed in the playful atmosphere. Jimin and Jungkook once again showed that their interactions on stage can turn into an unexpected surprise at any moment. From teasing each other to a chase that ended with a cowboy-style move, the two successfully left ARMY wondering how they managed to create such hilarious chaos within just a few minutes. Rather than disrupting the concert, the moment actually made the atmosphere feel even warmer and more entertaining. In an instant, the day one stage in Chicago turned into a comedy arena as Jimin and Jungkook continued their playful antics. The members' laughter, ARMY's screams, and the pair's spontaneous behavior made the moment feel incredibly unforgettable. For fans who witnessed it, the incident was proof that these two BTS members always have unexpected ways of creating hilarious moments and making the concert atmosphere even more exciting. At first, the audience's reaction sounded like a mixture of confusion and curiosity. Some ARMY appeared to be trying to figure out what Jimin was doing to Jungkook, while cheers gradually began coming from different parts of the arena. However, once the audience realized that Jimin was deliberately teasing Jungkook, the atmosphere instantly changed. The screams grew louder, and laughter began filling the entire Chicago arena. Jimin himself seemed to be enjoying the situation. His mischievous smile was obvious when he managed to get a reaction out of Jungkook, after which he put on an innocent expression as if he had done absolutely nothing. That sudden change in expression only made ARMY laugh even harder. As if he knew that his teasing had succeeded, Jimin continued maintaining a relaxed expression while occasionally glancing at Jungkook, seemingly waiting for his next reaction. However, Jimin's expression suddenly changed when Jungkook began moving toward him. The person who had looked completely relaxed just seconds earlier immediately started backing away before running away from the stage area. ARMY instantly responded with even louder cheers. The scene felt like watching two people who had just gotten into a playful prank war, with one of them suddenly realizing that he might have taken the teasing a little too far. When Jungkook finally caught up with Jimin and captured him with a cowboy-style rope move, the arena completely erupted. The audience, which had previously been cheering, now burst into collective laughter as they watched the chase come to an end. Jimin had seemingly become the victim of his own mischief, while Jungkook managed to turn the tables in a matter of seconds. The spontaneous moment made day one of the Chicago concert even more lively and created one of the funniest scenes that ARMY will likely continue talking about long after the show ended. While Jimin continued with his mischievous antics, Jungkook initially could only hold back his laughter. His face looked like that of someone trying desperately to stay calm, even though he was clearly amused by Jimin's behavior. From time to time, he gave Jimin a look that seemed to say he knew exactly what Jimin was doing. Yet, he still allowed his fellow member to continue. Jungkook's attempt to hold back his reaction only made ARMY even more curious. Then came a few seconds that seemed to last forever. Jungkook suddenly made an incredulous expression while looking toward Jimin, as if he were trying to confirm whether Jimin really dared to keep teasing him in front of thousands of people. The atmosphere in the arena briefly became quiet as ARMY appeared to wait for Jungkook's next move. It turned out that Jungkook chose an option that no one could have expected. After standing there for a few seconds while holding back his reaction, he finally decided to chase Jimin. The atmosphere changed in an instant. The brief silence immediately turned into screams and laughter coming from every corner of the arena. Jimin, realizing that he was being chased, seemed to suddenly lose the confidence he had shown earlier while teasing Jungkook. The chase then became a hilarious little climax that transformed the stage into an impromptu comedy arena. Jungkook continued chasing Jimin with an enthusiastic expression, while Jimin tried to get away while laughing. When the chase eventually escalated into a cowboy-style rope move, ARMY simply could not hold back their laughter. Jungkook's reaction, which had initially consisted of restrained laughter and disbelief, eventually turned into a playful counterattack that sent the entire concert atmosphere into an even bigger frenzy. As soon as Jungkook started chasing him, Jimin immediately ran as if he had just realized that his mischievous behavior came with consequences. The sight instantly sent ARMY into an even greater frenzy. Screams echoed back and forth as Jimin tried to get away, while Jungkook continued chasing him with an expression that made the situation even funnier. Within seconds, the stage had transformed into what looked like an entirely unplanned comedy scene. However, the biggest surprise came when Jungkook used a rope in a cowboy-style move to catch Jimin. No one seemed to expect such an action to happen in the middle of a concert, so the audience's reaction immediately exploded. Jimin, who had become the target, only made the situation even more hilarious, while the other members watching the scene also burst out laughing at the two's antics. The moment felt like a comedy skit that had suddenly appeared in the middle of the performance. When Jimin was finally caught, ARMY's cheers and laughter echoed even more loudly throughout the arena. Jungkook seemed to have delivered the most spectacular comeback after repeatedly being the target of Jimin's teasing. Meanwhile, Jimin could only face the consequences of his own antics amid the laughter. The brief exchange successfully became one of the spontaneous moments that made the Day 1 stage in Chicago feel even more lively and unpredictable. The incident also drew the attention of the other BTS members to Jimin and Jungkook's antics. Judging by how the atmosphere on stage changed after the chase, the moment felt like a spontaneous incident that was almost impossible not to laugh at. Without needing many words, their actions alone were enough to make the concert atmosphere much more relaxed and entertaining for everyone watching. Jimin may have successfully started their playful prank war by teasing Jungkook repeatedly, but Jungkook made sure that the battle would not end without a comeback. From initially doing nothing but holding back his laughter, Jungkook eventually took action by chasing Jimin until the situation turned into a hilarious pursuit. In a way, Jimin started the match with complete confidence, while Jungkook chose to end it in a way that no one could have anticipated. In the end, it was not just Jimin and Jungkook who ended up laughing. The entire arena was swept into their little chaos. The moment served as a reminder that even amid the grandeur of a concert, spontaneous moments such as two members playfully teasing each other can become some of the most memorable parts of the night. With Jimin as the instigator and Jungkook as the one delivering the comeback, the two managed to give ARMY an unexpected dose of entertainment that no one saw coming. Amid the dazzling stage lights and the roar of thousands of ARMY in Chicago, the audience's attention suddenly shifted toward Jimin and Jungkook. The cheers that had previously followed the flow of the performance turned into laughter and screams as their playful antics continued to escalate. The stage lights illuminating the area seemed to make the spontaneous scene the center of attention, while the audience eagerly followed their every move. The atmosphere became even more uncontrollable when the chase continued and the unexpected cowboy-style rope move appeared. Laughter erupted alongside the fans' cheers, creating an incredibly lively atmosphere. For a few moments, the concert felt like an impromptu comedy show, with Jimin and Jungkook as its main performers. It was no surprise that the brief moment immediately became one of the most attention-grabbing parts of the night. And after everything was over, one question seemed to remain in ARMY's minds. How did a simple act of teasing each other turn into a chase that ended like a cowboy scene in the middle of a concert? Jimin and Jungkook's spontaneous moment appeared to be more than just a few minutes of playful antics. It was the kind of unexpected incident that ARMY would likely continue replaying, discussing, and laughing about long after the Chicago stage lights had gone dark that night.